is Luffy.
That's Monkey D. Luffy.
King of the pirates. He's made a robot.
How did that happen?
Yo ho ho, he took a bite of gum gum.
So that was a lie.
What's up, y'all? You know what time it is. It's about to be that time. About to be that time. That time.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
So that was a lie.
黒ひげたちの狙いはより強い悪魔の実の能力。気をつけろ。
やべえ俺。
人の実はいらねえ。なんだと。
So that was a lie.
Savage.
Wow. One Piece 1044 is out, and this changes everything, people, all right? Literally. So to all of the clickbaiters that want to tell me each week that this chapter changes everything, this is the time where it's allowed, okay? Because this actually does change everything. That's probably what I'll title this video. Thank you to Chrissy, okay? She used her Bari no Mi, Bartos fruit, to protect me from spoilers this week. Just handed her my phone, said, block anybody that's trying to spoil me. And she said that she did have to block a few people. So to those people, bye.
Savage.
So it's not the resin fruit.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Womp womp. But we still had some wins nonetheless. All right, going back to 1018, you know, talked about the connections between Sun God and Joy Boy potentially being the same person. That's pretty much confirmed here, right? So was Nika the Sun God? Were they Joy Boy?
Another one.
We did get a Mr. 3 style candle wall.
Another one.
I said that whenever Luffy came downstairs that it was going to emulate Nightmare Luffy, and that's essentially what we're getting here, all the way to the chapter titles, right? The chapter where Nightmare Luffy comes in, it is Warrior of Hope, and now we have Warrior of Liberation, okay? Obviously deliberate. There are so many Thriller Bark parallels in this arc that I still feel that we're going to get more. But the biggest win of all right, was so subtle that it completely went over everybody's heads. I was spoiling it for you. 2 weeks early. How? My drip.
Certified drip.
Mario said W shirt today, Randy. Oh yeah, I had to break out the drip. You know, we are reading a Looney Tune, you know, so we got the Looney Tunes today.
Another one.
Looney Tunes, people, Looney Tunes. Luffy Tunes. How does he do it? I don't know. You know, 4D chess over here. Look, at the end of the day, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I love it when I'm right. I love it even more when I'm wrong. Oda surprised me, okay? And Luffy going full Hanna-Barbera, Looney Tunes, Tex Avery, I'm all about it, all right? Our boy is bending reality. He is only limited by his imagination. He was told that he was rubber, so his imagination made him rubber, all right? We're gonna get into all of the implications of that and more. Here we go. Really, my headcanon right now is that a lot of this has to do with Shanks. Okay, Shanks had to have known what this fruit was, and it's very possible, this is my headcanon now, all right? This is my headcanon now. They knew that he had the Hito Hito no Mi Model Nika, right? But he never told them that Luffy ate it. He probably told them something along the lines of, I'm going to keep the balance in this world. I'm going to hold on to this. I don't want you to have it, but I'm also not going to let anyone else have it. And they're probably like, all right, cool. This fruit has been eluding us for 800 years. You just, you know, don't let anybody eat it, okay? Shanks playing the long game with Luffy just keeps the world government on the string like that, right? He shows up to Marineford. Everybody's like, whoa, hey, we'll stop the war. He's got the Hito Hito no Mi Model Nika. He could eat it at any time. We get the Reverie. Gorosei's like, hey, you know what? Because it's you, we'll have a conversation. And he says, hey, I'd like to talk about a certain pirate. Okay, his name's Monkey D. Luffy. Yeah, he ate the Hito Hito no Mi Model Nika. Because I know, Shanks, I know that in order to become Joy Boy, he's going to have to be killed. So I want you to put all of your forces towards it because this is the year of the prophecy. And since this is a Chosen One story, we need to now make him the Chosen One, right? Which in Persian, Nika means chosen. It's also my headcanon that Shanks was at Fuchsia Village in the first place to give that fruit to Ace if he wasn't going to eat it himself. There has to be something that tied Shanks to Fuchsia Village besides Luffy, and of course, his captain's son was on Fuchsia Village. So I think that Shanks was trying to give Ace the fruit. Ace didn't get the fruit. The fruit chose Luffy, right? Because it has a will of its own. It avoided capture for 800 years. It chooses Luffy. Luffy is this big, creative kid that's able to actually utilize the fruit to its full potential. He says all of these things that match Roger, right? Shanks sees everything together. He's able to bet his arm for this era, to bet it on Luffy. And then it comes time where now Ace is captured, and even though he's the son of Roger, as far as Shanks is concerned, he's not Joy Boy. He doesn't show up till Marineford until he probably learns that Luffy's there. And then it's like, oh wait, I can't let Luffy die yet. It's not time. It's too early. He's not going to turn into Joy Boy if he dies now. Now, I'd also like to point out that community translator Saeed Abdo said that another way to translate what the Gorosei are talking about here is not that the name is only the Hito Hito no Mi Model Nika, but that another name for the Gomu Gomu no Mi is the Hito Hito no Mi Model Nika. So really, both names of the fruit translate. So don't expect Luffy to be running around saying Hito Hito no pistol and all of this stuff, because he does not know that he has the Hito Hito no Mi Model Nika. He still believes that he has the Gomu Gomu no Mi until someone else tells him this. Does Kaido know about this fruit, right? Is that why he said, Gomu Gomu no, what was it again? Because maybe he saw the stretchiness and it lined up with something that Rox had told him about Joy Boy and all of this other stuff. Like there's the potential for that, for Kaido to drop that bomb to Luffy at some point. Or Momonosuke and Yamato may have read about it in the journal and that they're able to tell Luffy what the real name of his fruit is. He'll find out at some point, and then I think we'll get some pretty funny shenanigans with Chopper where he just sort of, like, says like, wait, so we're the same? There's a lot of stuff that could come from that. Will Luffy eat a Rumble Ball? I mean, I'd love to see it. Come on, we'll see it. If it works for the Dollar Tree version of the Hito Hito no Mi, I mean, what's it gonna do for the mythical one, right? The lavish bracket version of Hito Hito no Mi. A big proponent of, learning about the Sun God is a look at the Calgara and Nolan flashback, and I think I'm going to actually dedicate its own video to a real breakdown of this. So I'm just gonna kind of go with the spark notes here, right? But basically, they believe that the snake Kashi is the sun god, right? And that is what they are, sacrificing Moose to, Calgara's daughter. Considering that Chopper, right, is a Hito Hito no Mi user, right, but he's a reindeer that became a human because of that, I wonder if Joy Boy was also an animal that ate the Hito Hito no Mi Model Nika. What if Joy Boy was a snake? They are literally like devoting everything to this snake. That would give him that giant appearance and all of that, and then a lot of the Skypiea imagery would sort of line up there. There's a snake-like effect, which I even brought up back in 1018, to the silhouette of the sun god Nika, right? So more on that in the other video on top of other things. Now, a fun parallel, right, is that Luffy is now the sun god. One of the, infamous quotes that Blackbeard has when he's facing Ace at Bonaro Island is, "The sun versus darkness. Who will win?" Well, that's what's literally going to happen later on. Sun God Nika versus Blackbeard's Darkness Fruit. Or is the Darkness Fruit just a misdirection, and it truly is just the ink of an octopus? Who knows? In Skypiea, we thought that Luffy was a man going up against another man who believed himself to be a god. But it was actually a man who believed himself to be a god versus a god who believed himself to be a man. A rubber man.
I just told you who I thought I was, a god!
So Luffy is still retaining rubber properties, right? That seems to be the basis of the fruit. Now it seems a little wacky that it is a Zoan and that it is a Hito Hito model, right? Because that would imply that at some point Luffy could turn into a completely non-rubber version of himself, right? But we see that that's not actually the case. Luffy's always rubber, right? Which is a very Paramecia style property. Whereas Chopper can turn into an actual full reindeer without, any sort of human capabilities. Granted, his intelligence remains, so I guess that there is that sort of element. But then you take someone like Lucci. Lucci turned into a completely human version of himself, unless you consider that his bloodlust was part of the leopard fruit. I don't know. There's a lot of questions that probably won't get answered, except for maybe in an SBS at some point. I would love a little more lore. We're not going to get that for quite some time. But either way, he's still rubber, right? So while this may seem like copium and all of this stuff, a lot of the resin stuff still could happen, okay? Why? Because resin is a part of natural rubber, so it's just the liquid form of rubber, the base form of it being utilized. And also, keep in mind that we're told that this fruit is only limited by the user's imagination, right? What if Joy Boy, as the sun god Nika, whatever, his imagination was to create bubbles, and then that's what he did on the archipelago, that's what he did at Fishman Island, etc., etc., and Luffy, will still be able to coat ships and go underwater with this fruit as well. There's a lot of possibilities. They're endless. We could still see Toy Man Luffy if he's able to produce rubber. We don't know that yet. He hasn't shown an affinity for that, but, we'll probably get that. The Hiyori and Orochi part was low-key probably my favorite part of the chapter. Now, I know that's going to be a hot take, all right, but I love the symmetry, I love the poetry of it. We didn't get Samurai Hiyori, which was, it happens. But what we did get was a reason for the existence of Kizenbo, which is almost even more important, okay? Because that was one of my biggest issues with, the past 10 chapters, was just, why does Kizenbo exist? Why did we need this? What is its purpose? And Oda actually told us the purpose in the chapter that Kizenbo was born. It was right there in, the first dialogue, like, this is my suicide pact. Oda brought back Kanjuro from his great death to create Kizenbo, to create this full circle thing where Orochi now gets beaten by his own creation. And that's one of my favorite tropes in any medium, anything like that, when the villain gets their just desserts by what they have created. And we're also getting that with the world government ordering Dripper to kill Luffy, creating Joy Boy, which is exactly what they didn't want, right? Orochi built up Kanjuro. He made him, and then Kanjuro ended up being his demise, but also having Hiyori play a crucial role. I wanted Hiyori to get her hands dirty. Admittedly, I was like, let her be a secret samurai trained by Denjiro this whole time, cut this man's head off, cut his tail off. But the cerebral nature of it, of her just using the sea stone nail, right? Because now any sort of durability that his fruit may have given him is gone. So he's really burning. The same way that Odin was burning. It's perfect.
One of my favorite things that we've seen in this arc, and I really loved in this Hiyori panel, is when characters have their defining moment, they've been declaring their name. And when Hiyori declared her name, finally taking off the mask, being in front of Orochi, like, yo, this is who I am. This is who you've been talking to this whole time, and you better kneel. And I love how that's been a consistent theme throughout this arc. Like, it's been so good.
Yeah. It's like coming into yourself, coming into your own, 100%. Right? It's just like, I am becoming myself.
So I really think that this is the end of Orochi. If it is, it's poetic. It's embarrassing, right, for him to go out this way, but it's also the demise that he brought upon himself. Go back to the first scene where Momonosuke meets Luffy, right? And Luffy's telling him to just transform. And Momonosuke's asking for tips. How do I do that? Luffy says, I don't know, I'm not a Zoan. You are. Technically. But the interesting thing about him being a Zoan now also is, if Nika was a real person in the world of One Piece, then how do you get a fruit of that? You know, because I don't expect there to have been a real Buddha in One Piece, right? But we do have the Hito Hito no Mi model Daibutsu, right? Great Buddha, which is Sengoku. So there's something a little fishy to this whole thing here. When Jinbei is doing his big lore dump at the end of Fishman Island and catching us up on the 2-year time skip, right? He tells us that Blackbeard and his crew are hunting down powerful fruits. And Chopper is like, oh god, are they gonna come after me, right? And Usopp says no one cares about a Hito Hito no Mi. Another fine example of one of Usopp's lies coming true. A lot of people were making comparisons to the color spread for 1028, where Oda drew Luffy as Ken, the fiery hair, obviously a correlation here to what we're seeing in 1044. That was Oda practicing, and also doing his normal Oda thing of putting some hints in the color spreads. So we did not get Joy Boy actually reincarnating and possessing Luffy, all right? And honestly, that's for the best. So it would have been interesting, you know, getting that Cavendish and Hakuba situation, but there also seems to be a little bit of an element of that as well. You look at Luffy's eyes, they resemble Hakuba's eyes, which also resemble Zunisha's eyes, which resemble Imu's eyes, which resemble Mihawk's eyes, so maybe there's a little bit of a tie there. Who knows? Shout out to Sanji, who's definitely making Pudding jealous, out here having his own Zoro and Hiyori panel. We're missing Chuji, though. Lurking legend, nowhere to be found in that panel, though. Oda, do better.
Savage.
Now, one thing I do want to preface, all right, and I talked about this in the stream as well, is while I'm very happy with this development, and I love that everything is this call back to pre-time skip and we went back to Goofy, right? It felt like I was reading 1045, almost, and that we skipped over 1044. Because after 1043, I was really hoping that we would sit in that dread for a little longer. It's my only criticism in the chapter. I mean, the chapter is perfect. I just wanted more, like, in between 1043 and 1044. See Kaido continuing to be a menace, see the dread of the rest of the Straw Hats, and have them sort of stand up to Kaido, even though Luffy's gone, right? Supposedly. Our boy is not actually dead. But having them sort of sit there and believe that, right? And then have this epic moment of Luffy coming in. The tension was completely undercut. If Kaido had someone on the ropes and someone was about to die and then Luffy, you know, saved that person from Kaido, I think that just would have given us a little bit of a more impactful moment. So, but either way, all of this stuff is still great nonetheless. And it's going to be fantastic when it's animated. All right, so let's start talking about 1045, early spoilers, whatever my predictions for this. This is also going to be my predictions for basically the next 5 or so chapters to begin with. I've always felt that Luffy was going to defeat Kaido, but that there is going to be someone else that's going to show up, all right? And now with all of this Nightmare Luffy comparisons, it almost seems like Oda is even driving that Thriller Bark element even further. At this stage of the game, and I've talked about this as well, I'm thinking that my top horse for the late addition to the arc will be Vegapunk. I think that he will be the Kuma, all right? He's gonna show up, and whether he's a good guy or a bad guy, it doesn't matter, but I wanna see that interaction between him and Sanji. We also need an interaction between him Momonosuke and Frankie. Those three characters are tied, you know, pretty closely to Vegapunk. Sanji via Judge, Momonosuke via his fruit, Frankie via 3D2Y. Beyond that, I don't actually expect any of that until probably 1050. You know, so I'll say it right now, maybe Vegapunk at 1050. I think between now and 1050 we'll get the Kaido flashback. All right, so I'm expecting probably close to a full chapter of Kaido versus Luffy next week. The only things that we should be cutting to are the two remaining plot threads. What's going on with Zoro? Is he dead? Are we going to get the underworld? Who knows? Robin and Brook running into Schoolboy Collins, the other CP0 member. All right, that all sort of needs to get buttoned up and wrapped up as well. Want to see Luffy continuing this, you know, savage beatdown. All right, this Looney Tunes beatdown, this Luffy Tunes beatdown, and we're gonna get pretty close, I think, to the, you know, the final blow. I don't think that Oda should drag this out for multiple chapters. I wouldn't be surprised if 1045 was, you know, ended with the final hit on Kaido, leading us into the Kaido flashback for 1046, 1047, 1048, ending on probably 1049, and then we come out of that just in time for the epilogue of the arc. Vegapunk or some other, you know, major player, Blackbeard, Dragon, Shanks, whatever, shows up 1050, and that pushes us into the next arc. Still want to see Wano get annexed. All right? Yes, oh, but the people of Wano have been subjugated too much. We need to see the Dawn. He's supposed to be the warrior of liberation. He needs to save everyone. Yes, he does, right? But he needs to save everyone. Okay? And Luffy needs the motivation right now to go after the world government. So if the world government is here and they manage to take over Wano, right? Whatever major players are on those ships, if they manage to take over Wano, and Luffy is completely wrecked after this, similar to how he was at the end of Thriller Bark, right? He comes out of this new form and he cannot move anymore. Right? Sanji's got to carry him around. This one's got to carry him around. Whatever. They're both people. The crew's carrying Luffy and Zoro, and they really have no other choice but to get off of Wano, recollect, go to Sphinx Island maybe, and then sort of create this pact. Momonosuke is with them now. He can't become the Shogun because Wano was taken over. Right? How do you fix that? You take down the world government, and then Momonosuke gets to be the Shogun of Wano. That's my headcanon. But, you know, there's also the possibility that the sun comes up, right, as he puts the final blow to Kaido, and we see the dawn of this new world. Everybody is saved. Zunisha swipes away the ships, or Luffy destroys all the ships with some sort of weird new imagination Nika power. Who knows, right? Maybe we do get a happy ending to this arc. But for the sake of the story, for the sake of Oda wanting to finish things, you know, in the next 5 years, beating Kaido but losing Wano, I think, is a fair trade. And that's going to wrap things up, guys. What a monumental chapter. All right, I want to thank everybody that supports the channel, supports Chrissy and I. We are both very, very thankful. Thank you so much. Shout out to Blabuka, Justin King, Damn Smith, Quantum 15, Gryson, Rosie I-10, Shooter Ali, Nernex Ultima, Gia Studio, Swang Necklace, Kidlit, Jay Armstrong, and Mark Oderso for joining. And shout out to Mr. Venator 86, Channel Goat, Tyrone Will, my guy Mark Creasy, and of course Chinho Wong for rejoining as well. Much love, everybody. Much love. I will see everybody for 10:45. All right. Thanks, everybody, and I'll catch you later. Bye.
Savage.